Botte with us here in the studio after this short video. Okay, no story for there. So okay, Dr. Botte, good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome back. How are you?
I'm good.
Good.
Thank you.
I know, as being a man, I don't know how common this particular instance is, but have you heard of this before, and how common is it?
And Benny, I must say that I can say for a fact, just last week, I got a text message from an unknown person. Usually, doctor, everybody wants to contact you for some information. Mm-hmm. And the question was, hi doc, a friend of mine who is having an engagement or she's getting married, and unfortunately she's in a flow. Is there a medicine she can take to block the flow? Because, they have to consummate the marriage or whatever they call it, and right. She thinks that she might disappoint the other partner, or the spouse may be disappointed, so she would want to have medication to just stop the blood from flowing. And this is not the only instance. I've had people call sometimes and say that my partner is coming from Nigeria and it's just a weekend, he's going to go back on Monday, and my flow is going to come just on Friday too. So is there something I could do to not to let it come, so that at least we can have a romantic weekend? So these things are there, they are common, and people have various reasons for doing that, and it basically has to do with a person's discretion, and also with in consultation with your doctor. I must also say that there may be some instances where it becomes very necessary, even medically, to delay a person's period.
Next, because is there an instance where you as a doctor would advise for that?
Yes, there are people, for a woman's menstrual flow, people have different ways it affects them. Some have excruciating pain during menses. Sometimes maybe painkillers might not even help. The usual non-steroidal anti-inflammatories or other medications that we give may not even help. So for a woman who is going to have go through a year, 12 times in a year, having this kind of pain, she might say that, okay, maybe I'm done with having kids, but I'm still having this painful periods. Why not have my period maybe 4 times in a year instead of 3 times in a year?
But wouldn't that lead
instead of 12 times in a year?
Wouldn't that lead to more, for instance, more concentrated, intense menstruation periods, rather than there being 12 moderate ones? No, it may not necessarily be. Okay. But this is one aspect of a medical situation where you would want to, a doctor may say, okay, since there's nothing like fertility issues, I want to have a baby, I'm done with my kids, we can decide that, okay, maybe you can have your periods 4 times in a year instead of 12 times in a year, right, which comes with excruciating pain. Other instances may be that a woman may be going on holidays, special holidays, and they think they don't want to have any interference with having to change parts and do this, doing that. Or probably person is traveling to a place for a festival, and she may think that the place may not have good toileting facilities over there, and therefore if I could just for this month, if I could just delay my period, I could do with that. Or somebody may be a sports girl. Because she has an athletic championship to attend, or maybe swimming, for example. You're going to swim in the pool with other competitors, and if you be bleeding, or the event happens to be timed with the time you're also in your flow, then you're going to contaminate the whole the pool for other people. So in this case, in consultation with your doctor, there may be the need to probably give some medication or something to maybe delay the period for a few more days until after the event. So there are medications that usually the women use to do this. But again, there are pros and cons of everything. Okay, before we get into the pros and cons of it, you've mentioned, obviously, as a health professional, certain medications. Now, there are combinations of other things that people are taking. What are some of those things that...
Basically, it's hormonal. It's right. A hormonal thing. A woman's menstrual flow is basically controlled by hormones. Commonly we all know about estrogen and progesterone, that's a female hormone. These hormones are actually controlled from the brain. The ovary is told at certain times to maybe increase the amount of estrogen you are producing, or at this time increase the amount of progesterone you are producing. These are controlled by what we call follicle stimulating hormone and luteinizing hormone from the brain. So once you are going through a normal cycle without any medication, your axis is normal. Right. So you can have your normal monthly flow. So anytime maybe estrogen goes down, the follicle stimulating hormone can give instruction that increase it. So it's a negative feedback. Once this is down, this one goes up.
Right.
When this is up, this one also goes down. Now, for somebody who is probably taking, let's say, oral contraceptive pills, like just for saying the family planning, for example, taking the pill all the time, the whole idea is that once you are taking the pill, you still have your normal bleeds, right? But the point is, the cycle you are having is anovulatory. You don't ovulate, you don't produce the eggs.
Right.
This is because when you are taking the oral medications, artificially you are taking the hormones.
Yes.
So all the time you are putting into your system estrogen and progesterone all the time. So the follicle, the brain thinks that, oh, the body is okay, it has enough estrogen and progesterone.
Right.
I don't need to
cause
the follicle to open.
Right. Okay.
So there's enough. So inadvertently you have blocked ovulation. You are having your periods all right, but you are not producing the eggs.
Right.
So this can go on, and then for those who take the pill, realize that at the end of the 21 days, there's brown pills. And so when you start taking the brown, they are the inactive pills. They don't contain any hormone. So once you start the brown pills, it so happens that a day or two after, you have your flow.
Yeah.
So for some people, for those who may have problems with their menses and they may have a reason to try and delay this particular menses for this month, what they do is that they don't take the brown ones. So they finish with the 21 and they start with the next pack.
Right.
So they keep the hormone level still high.
Okay.
What causes a woman to bleed basically is that this hormone called progesterone usually getting to the time, the day of your first flow is the start of your menses, your menstrual cycle. They say the day you see blood, the start of your menstrual cycle. As you get to 21 days thereabouts, and then the hormone progesterone, which would actually be high on a high level, expecting you to maybe suppose you are pregnant, they to keep going high and maintain the pregnancy until the placenta takes over when the baby is formed. So if it so happens that conception doesn't take place and the baby is not formed within that time, then the progesterone levels just drop. So when the progesterone levels drop, it means that there's no need to keep the lining of the womb anymore. So it all sheds off and comes out at menses. So the medication usually what it does is that the woman with this decide that maybe 3 or 4 days before I know that my period is going to come, if I have any peculiar reason why I want to delay my period this time, they just take the hormone and then it just maintains the level of progesterone keeping high.
Okay, now let's talk about the pros and the cons, the side effects of these issues, because obviously God in his infinite wisdom knows that the body is meant to go through a certain cycle. This happens naturally monthly without any additions or inhibitants to it. So once we are messing around with nature, once we are once we are stopping something that we know is meant to happen monthly, what are the effects? Isn't there some kind of hormonal imbalance, overload?
Yeah, definitely. If somebody should want to embark on this kind of thing and you want to do it for a very long period, and then you should be aware that there are side effects, there are challenges that you may go through. Now, there are minor side effects to every medication that everybody takes. I mean, for these hormones, for example, maybe sometimes you may have rashes, you may have itching, you may have headaches, bloating, nausea. These are minor ones.
They don't sound too minor. Go on.
Headaches, but for hormones, what we are mostly concerned about is the propensity for you to form clots of blood in your system.
Okay.
So you can have blood clotting, your blood flow in your veins and can get clotted, and that if you have somebody who has a predisposition to what we call deep vein thrombosis, you can have your blood clotting in the veins in your legs, and when it forms the clot, it can just move and then get lodged in your heart or in your lungs and can cause it's called an embolism. It has moved to another place and can cause serious challenges. Okay, so we are saying that you do not do these things just anyhow. Right. Maybe once a while for a particular reason may be okay, but if you're going to be doing this thing regularly, then you are at risk of forming thrombosis or forming clots, and that can be sometimes deadly. Again, it may lead to people becoming jaundiced, and for those who have histories of a stroke or who have high blood pressure problems, you are really strictly advised to be very, very careful when you want to do such things. Now, if you have had a stroke before, some of these strokes are because of poor blood flow to the brain, or heart attacks is because of poor blood flow to the heart. And if you are taking these hormones that would eventually cause your blood to be clotting, it means that you are actually some way reducing blood flow to your organs, and that can trigger these heart attacks or these strokes. So it's important for you to be aware that it is not something that you should be engaging in on a regular basis. Again, for those who have family history of maybe breast cancer, cervical cancer, you should also be careful, because if you are going to use hormones all the time, statistics have shown that even though people may be exposed to the human papilloma virus that causes cervical cancer, for example, for those who may be using a lot of hormones, their progress to getting cervical cancer is way higher than those who are not, because everybody is exposed, but who will get there first is the ones who may be using a lot of hormones.
Right.
So it's advised that if you have any family history of breast cancer, if you have any family history of cervical cancer or liver disease, you are supposed to be very careful and not use these hormones as a way of regularly delaying your periods. It has its disadvantages, and it can be dire.
Okay. Dr. Bote, I want to thank you so much for coming in this morning and teaching us more about this particular ailment.